You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 223 of Podketeers. This week we recap our party celebrating Mickey's 90th anniversary. Melissa tells us about a new makeup line themed after the Disney princesses. We talk about the Mary Poppins trailer, and we discuss the recent changes at Disney parks regarding their efforts to eliminate plastic straws from all of their resorts. If you would like to join the conversation and give us your thoughts on this or any of the things that we talk about, you can connect with us over on Facebook, Instagram, or on Twitter just by searching for Podketeers and leaving us a comment. You can also go to podketeers.com/223 and leave us a comment on the blog post for this episode. We look forward to hearing your thoughts on these conversations. Quick announcement, the next event that Teamboat Willie will be participating in is set. We will be raising money and walking in support to combat women's cancers in City of Hope's Walk for Hope event on Sunday, November 4th, 2018. You can help by either making a donation, joining our team to help raise money for this cause, or simply by sharing our link with your friends and family. More information about Teamboat Willie and links to donate or join us for this next event can be found on teamboatwillie.com. Super simple to remember the website. It's Steamboat Willie, but without the S. Big thanks goes out to all of our podcast Fairy Godparents because it's through their support that these episodes of Podketeers are possible. How? Through their generous contributions via Patreon. If you would like to become a Fairy Godparent of our podcast, or as they like to call themselves, the FGP Squad, you can do so for as little as $1 a month, but for a contribution of at least $5, you also get the exclusive Fairy Godparent button as a thank you for your support. More information about joining the FGP Squad can be found at podketeers.com/FGP. If you want to hit us up on social media, you can find all of our personal pages on our team page over at podketeers.com/team. And if you want to see some of our videos, head on over to youtube.com/podketeers and youtube.com/Disney42. If you happen to like the videos, please hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell icon for notifications. Just make sure that you select all notifications so that YouTube actually tells you when new videos are posted, because that's just how things have to be on YouTube now. So let's get this episode started, shall we? This is episode 223 of Podketeers. Alright, testing 1, 2, 3. You guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We can.
Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, the little girlie said, pretty fly for a white guy.
Little known fact, that song was written about Gavin.
Oh.
Heck yeah.
How's it going, guys? Long time no see. What's it been? 2-3 hours?
Something
Right.
like that. I miss you guys so much.
Yeah, it was really fun today.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that even though we had limited time for Community Day, Melissa, I'm glad we ended up with some shiny chickaritas.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
In
Nerd
one
alert.
spot, we lucked out.
I know. So you ended up with 3, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I went back through all the ones that I caught. I found out that I ended up with 7 shinies, and I didn't even realize it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so
I
when we were
walked with
playing,
you.
I know, but when we were playing, remember I kept struggling to see my screen in certain places because it was too bright?
Oh, yeah.
I think in those spots, I caught shinies without realizing I caught shinies. And so
Wow.
I ended up upgrading 1 because I wanted the special move, but then I have 6 other shinies, and I was like, what? That was awesome. So I was super happy.
There's your nerd talk.
I know. Gavin, you gotta start playing Pokemon Go, dude.
So, you got that out of your system? We good?
No, here we go. I got some more. All right, let's shift over to something that Gavin's gonna be happy talking about.
No, I'm happy you guys got to do that. And, I asked you some questions while we were there about, what it is about this game that, really interests you. And you kind of broke it down for me and showed me the ins and outs. And I see the appeal. I get it. It's not something I could ever see myself getting into, but I understand what makes it interesting and keeps people going, especially since they seem to, add more content, fairly regularly.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
here's to you, nerds. Good job today. Way to go.
We talked about the dynamics of the game, though, but we didn't even talk about the social aspect of it.
Right.
The social and physical aspect of it. This is a game that requires you to move around in the real world in order to catch these virtual monsters. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that we spend a lot of time sitting down in front of computers or in front of gaming systems and stuff. And this is the type of game that will get you out of your chair and it'll get you moving in the real world, which is great because physical activity is something that we all need. And in other cases, it's not even about the physical activity. It's more about getting people out of their shell and getting them to talk to other people. There's a lot of people that are really shy, they're introverts. This type of game unites you in a way that it breaks you out of being an introvert and you start connecting with other people on that level. I think the appeal of the game isn't as much like, I love Pikachu! It's really those other aspects that connect you to another human. You know what I mean?
And it actually used to be way worse when it started because you have these 3 teams and it got to the point where they used to have these like fights, but not physical fights, but it was just like verbal stuff and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa, but that's not it. That's not the case anymore. But it's gotten a whole lot better. People are more chill. We play the game together. It's all good.
Yeah.
So here's the question I have with the success of this game. I mean, I didn't think it would persist. And it certainly has, and it's certainly grown, it seems like. Mm-hmm. So let's bring it around to Disney. Why hasn't Disney made their own? Why don't we have Disney Go Get 'Em in the Parks game, or around the world? Like, why haven't other major companies cashed in on this genius idea?
I think there are companies that have tried to cash in on it, but it's a difficult concept to really implement. I've seen others do it, and they do it very poorly. Mm-hmm. The only other one that I know is really successful right now is the Jurassic Park version of this game that you're essentially in the real world, but you're catching dinosaurs. I think it also depends on the subject matter. For instance, later this year, there's going to be a Harry Potter version that's very similar, where you're walking around in the real world, collecting different things that will help you cast spells and whatnot. I don't know exactly what the dynamics of the game are going to be, but I know that there is a Harry Potter version coming. I know this has come up before, and we talked about why Disney doesn't have something like this, where they integrate it into the Play app, and you go around and you catch Tinkerbell, or you catch, they gamify the process where they're using AR in order to bring you into the parks for alternate tasks. As it stands now, the Play app has you do specific games, but it doesn't really work with augmented reality the way that Pokemon Go does. And quite frankly, Pokemon Go doesn't work in augmented reality the way that Pokemon Go should, because quite frankly, it really sucks at augmented reality. The way that they've implemented it is just really corny and really clunky, and they have worked at making it better. But I think that now that Disney has been working with companies like The Void, for instance, with this whole virtual reality, they'll jump into augmented reality as soon as technology becomes feasible in the way that calculating and displaying augmented or virtual reality will be available to the masses. Because there are some devices that still can't really play that stuff, or you can't really use that without it bogging down your device.
So people with Razr phones, they can't do it?
They can still do it.
Oh, okay.
They may be 20 years old, but those do everything.
Including snap in half in your back pocket.
That's right. I used to sell those when I was younger. Did I ever tell you guys that?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you had that trench coat with all the pockets in it, and you'd open it up and say, "Hey, buddy, you want to buy a cell phone?"
That was potions.
Oh,
that's when I was a gypsy grifter.
My bad.
Yeah, so today was really fun. I'm glad we had a chance to walk around, Melissa, catch those chickaritas. But, the reason we were really at Downtown Disney today was because we hung around in the picnic area to celebrate Mickey and Minnie's 90th anniversary in the Disneyland picnic area.
Yeah, we did. It was fun. I was thinking about it. You said and Minnie, but is that the first cartoon Steamboat Willie where we meet Pete as well?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. No love for Pete?
I mean, Pete the Cat's,
I mean, it is the Halloween season. We got to love our villains this season, right?
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
But we want to emphasize on the good guys.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, it all started with 2 mice and a cat.
Technically, it started with a lucky rabbit.
Yes, it did.
That's fair, but, Walt rewrote that history.
That's true. That's very true. So, quick shout out to everybody that had a chance to come out. We had some friends and part of the Podketeers fam that was out playing Pokemon Go. They were able to come join us for a little while, have some cake, take a couple of pictures, and it was fun. It was a very small gathering, but we just had enough cake for everybody. A couple of us had seconds at the end.
All of us.
I know. I totally flubbed the whole trivia thing too. And I felt really bad because you guys know I generally don't live stream. And I decided while we were there, I thought, why not? Let's do a quick live stream, just a couple of minutes to tell people that we're here. And so I start live streaming. I got so excited. And in the very first one, I had just had more coffee. And man, I look back at that first video and I'm talking like 200 words a second. It was insane. And I remember our friend Jill was in the chat of the live stream right after it ended. She sends me a text message saying, "Yup, you've had way too much coffee." So shout out, Jill. What's up? And so yeah, we did I think it was in the first one. No, the second one that I said, hey, we're still doing this. Here's a trivia. And I said, at the end of the live stream, I'll tell you guys the answer. And then I got excited and we were still talking about all sorts of other stuff. And I was asking people what they might want to bid on because we're trying to figure out how we're going to raise money for Walk for Hope. The City of Hope event that's happening in November, which is our next Team But Willie event, which we'll talk about shortly. And I completely forgot about the trivia. I felt like such a dork after. The first thing I said, I looked over at Kevin and Melissa and I said, I forgot to reveal the answer. So
Sorry, you had cake on the brain.
Yeah, I did have cake on the brain. And way too much caffeine. I realized that I've been dealing with some health issues the last 3 months, you guys know, and part of that process required me to drink a lot of water, and so I hadn't been really drinking coffee the last 3 months, and it's been killing me for 2 reasons. One, coffee's like a part of me. Coffee's like, it's like me and coffee,
life.
Me and you dancing all around. I don't even know if that's a song, but that's how I feel about coffee, right? And then, I hadn't had it in so long, it affected me hard. Ooh, I was sweating, and I was, I was amped up hazing, as if I need it, right?
Good point.
Also, quick shout out to our buddy Jared Maruyama, who, right as we're recording this, just a couple of hours ago, threw Mickey Mouse a virtual party on Instagram. So if you guys want to check that out, just go over to Instagram and search the hashtag surprise Mickey, and you'll see all of the posts of all of the people that were posting their own party pics for Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse as part of this push, to celebrate Mickey and the 90th anniversary of the mouse that we love. And no, it's not Fievel, it's Mickey.
Well, I love Fievel too.
No, I love Fievel too, but I think we love Mickey more than
Lots of
Fievel,
good mice. Lots of good mice out there.
Finley Moskowitz.
Also, he's doing a bunch of Mickey Mouse contests, and he's got a prize
Yeah.
pack that he's going to be giving away for all those. It's like 5 different contests. So, like, it's a Mickey drawing contest. The catch is you got to be blindfolded. There's a, like, Mickey Mouse voice contest. Like, a bunch of contests. So, go
They're
check out
fun.
Jay Mariyama on Instagram and join in the Mickey fun.
Yeah, and also make sure that you guys check out Jared's podcast, Squared Co. Super cool podcast. He always has different artists on, and they nerd out about all sorts of stuff, cartoons, animation in general. And he has some really great artists on there, too. We'll put a link to that in the description or in the blog post for the episode over at podketeers.com/223 if you guys want to check it out. Plus, by the time that you guys listen to this episode, the contest will be over, but at least you'll be able to click on the hashtags in the post to see some of the submissions that people posted. And we'll use the hashtag, Surprise Mickey, so you guys can go in and check out the post from there. Are you going to submit any drawings, Gavin?
I will do my best to do the blindfolded drawing.
That one, I'm like, we got to do this.
I'm trying to picture it in my head, and I'm thinking, oh boy, could I do this? We'll see. But I think I've got a setup where I can mount my camera, and I'm going to try it. We'll see.
Back in the day, I considered myself an artist, and I used to take art classes and all that snazzy stuff. But, over time, if you don't practice, you kind of lose that momentum in your wrists, and then you realize, oh, my wrist is meant for a mouse and a keyboard. It's not really a drawing hand anymore. But I still love to draw. When I had my note way, way long ago, this was back in the Note 3 days, kids.
Wow,
it was
Grandpa.
Yeah, I know. It was one of my favorite features of the Note, just having the S Pen. Dude, I miss that. I'm almost compelled enough that I might get a Note one day again because of that.
Mm-hmm.
For the
know.
time
Like, how
being,
much-
just get a notepad and paper.
But I don't carry that around all the time.
Actual notepad.
Yeah, but I don't
What?
carry a notepad around all the time, but I always have my phone with me.
How often did you sit around and do drawings on your phone?
I would say 2 or 3 times a week before. When I had the Note,
Okay.
2 or 3 times a week. So a lot of the drawings that I would do were always sketches of like Disney characters, and some of the first ones were horrible. I could tell that I was out of practice. But I think while I was at work, I was doodling on paper. So there are some drawings that I've posted, like on my Instagram account. If you go back, I don't know, a couple years worth of posts, there was like this Baymax that I drew while I was sitting in a meeting, at work or something like that. I don't remember when I drew it. The point is that I was really making an effort to draw again.
What you mean to say is while you were on an approved break
yes,
during your work shift.
yes, what he said. That is a truth statement, not a false one.
Correct.
Hashtag truth. Now that I see that my kids are showing an interest in drawing, they just take any piece of paper and they just start drawing, and they're both starting to do it a lot more. I might get them their own sketchbooks, just like little
Aw.
tiny
Cool.
ones, where they can start archiving what they're doing now, because there are some drawings that just look so good. Like, you can tell they're very rudimentary, but the basic shapes of everything are there. There was one where my son drew Wall-E, Mike Wazowski, and all these different Pixar characters, and all the shapes and colors were there. It was so cute.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be one of the things that I really begin to nurture for both of them.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then show them like in 10 years.
Yeah.
I
That's gonna
mean,
be
it's
fun.
that's awesome.
Yeah, some of the drawings that they've made, especially of all the Disney stuff, I've taken pictures of them because I can't keep all of them, right? I'm sorry, boys, but I can't keep all of them. I keep some of them. But all of them I've taken high-res pictures of so that I have an archive of all the stuff that they drew.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool.
That's going to be cool for them to be able to look back on, for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they appreciate that. So anyway, to finalize the recap of Mickey's birthday party, super cool. Thanks to everybody that came out. Again, we'll include the hashtag and some of those posts in the blog post for the episode, podketeers.com/223. And just to touch on what I was talking about a little bit ago, the next Teamboat Willie event is set. We are going to be walking in City of Hope's Walk for Hope in November. Details will be over at teamboatwillie.com. Super simple to spell. It's like Steamboat Willie, but without the S. That's how you can remember it. .com. I can't do that because that's copyright infringement. .com. That's
Oh,
not
Lord.
better, right?
Wow.
Because then they can't say like, you stole our .com. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember that note progression. So don't expect me to ever do that again.
That's all right. You can
Deal.
be like the Grateful Dead of jingles.
The Grateful Dead of
It'll
jingles.
just
That's
be
funny.
improvised and different every time.
That's right. That's how it should be. So as part of the fundraiser for Walk for Hope, I had 3 goals, and I talked about this in the live stream on Instagram while we were celebrating Mickey and Minnie, is that I had 3 goals showing up to today, and that was 1, do the birthday party. I guess technically 4, because it was also to catch Chikorita for Pokemon Community Day. But anyway, the next one was to get one of the Ezra Pop Funkos inside of the Doom Buggy, because 1, I wanted one for me, and the second, I wanted to auction off for our efforts, to raise money for Walk for Hope. The third was to get the Cauldron popcorn bucket, because I wanted to auction that off as well, especially because I know that there are a lot of Disney fans that want these items but aren't necessarily near the park. And when the Disney Hype Beast gets a hold of these items, they end up on eBay for about $90 a piece. And
Yeah.
So lame.
Yeah.
and if you're going to give $90 for something like that, why not put it towards something good like cancer research that's going to save somebody's life?
I
So
agree.
that was my mentality behind it. I showed up, what, Melissa, around 11:30ish?
Yeah, I want to say
Yeah.
11:30ish.
So about 11:30, I ran over to Wonderground, and I was told that they ran out, that they had 3 pallets worth, and they ran out. I guess they didn't really set a limit of how many people could purchase, but there are pictures
Actually,
on Instagram.
They did.
They did?
They did.
What was the
It was
limit?
apparently 5 per purchase.
That is a huge limit.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a huge limit. I was
I have,
wa-
but wait, this isn't. I mean, they sell Funkos everywhere, right? Can you not go to like Walmart or Toy
No,
Story
this
or
was a
something?
limited release. It was a special limited release that was only going to be
Oh.
available at Wonderground and Pieces of 8, I believe, inside of Disneyland.
Yeah.
Wow. Did they do it in Disney World as well?
I don't think so.
Oh wow, that's really limited.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I don't remember them advertising it for Disney World.
Okay.
The fact that I saw people walking around with just bags full of these items, I don't know. I mean, if you got it for yourself and, a couple family members for Christmas or something, that's different. But if you
Right.
bought out 15 of them because you want to sell them all on eBay, I mean, if that's your business, then I don't know. It's hard, because I appreciate the hustle, but at the same time, it's like, damn it, I wanted the Doom Buggy.
I honestly think they should just do what they did with the Mike Wazowski sippers. Limit it to 1. Do that for everything else.
I guess I don't really get why would they do this as such a limited release. I mean, I understand the concept of, hey, let's do a special limited release of something because that makes it, more exclusive. But they didn't put a higher price point on it, which we talked about when we were hanging out. And it seems so severely limited that the vultures were guaranteed to buy this up as they did, So I why not make it a bigger release, maybe raise the price point a little bit and try to mitigate some of that, because it just makes the whole thing seem really seedy and just gross. It's like, somebody like you, Hazen, who would really cherish that collectible, missed out, and you were there that morning and just missed out. And it's going to be a bunch of people that don't really. I would assume that a lot of those people won't even keep one for themselves. They're just out to buy it up and sell it off to the highest bidder. And I mean, it totally removes any element of, the magic of, a Disney themed product.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying that as far as buying a bunch and selling them off, like, I have to respect the hustle, right? I would love to be able to just buy 15 of these, and sell them off. But like you said, it does ruin the magic because there's plenty of fans. I was walking over there. I don't use the term "I ran" to stuff very frequently, okay? But I damn near ran to Wonderground, and I showed up around 11:30. About 15 minutes later, I left because Melissa went to go grab some food. And by the time she got back, I said, okay, I'm going to try to go catch a couple of these, grab a coffee. And I remembered, this thing just got released at Wonderground this morning. So I kind of ran. Maybe more of an accelerated walk, power walk maybe. But I got to Wonderground and they said, they ran out by 11:30. That was 15 minutes after I got there.
Oh, man.
I was so bummed out, especially considering, like I said, I wanted one to keep and one to auction off. I thought, man, that was part of my big plan today because I really want to raise a good amount of money. The other thing was the cauldron, the popcorn cauldron that looks like the poison apple from Snow White. Mm-hmm. As of yesterday, there was tons in the park. And then today, they were sold out, and I didn't get a chance to get one of those either.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're limiting how many they're selling, like, per week or, per every few days, so that they don't sell them all out initially. Like, they're trying to, what's the word?
Trickle them out?
Yeah, like trickle them out. Ration them. That's what I was thinking of. Do you think that's possible? Like, would they do something like that?
It's possible, but the problem is that if they are rationing them, most of them would be released during the week. Yeah. And if you live near the park, you're possibly one of those people that's going to go and buy 5 or 10 at a time, which means that people like me that can't go to the park until the weekend, or people that live a couple of hours away from the park and can't go, every weekend or like every month or something like that, are still not going to be able to get one. Because only the people that can go during the week are able to buy one. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's possible. And, I know it kind of sounds like, you spoiled AP. You're just talking, you're a spoiled AP. But, I don't know. I think there was also good intention behind the purchases. And I think that's what bothers me the most, that what I wanted them for isn't going to be there now. And so now I have to try to find another way to try to raise money for our fundraiser. But, it's fine. Hopefully they do release more, and hopefully they do trickle them out, like you're saying, Gavin, and they're not completely out. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, well, then cool. We'll get one of the other ones, hopefully, and maybe I'll have to make a special trip during the week just to buy one. But we'll figure it out. I have faith that we'll be able to find something cool to auction off. And, if you guys are interested in helping us out with either a donation or becoming a part of the team and walking with us the morning of November 4th, we're going to be walking on the City of Hope campus over in Duarte, California. It's free to join this year, which is a huge change from previous years, and it's a huge change, like from the Chalk Walk, for instance, which you had to raise $85. Mm-hmm. This year, City of Hope is waiving all of the registration fees, so pretty much everything you raise is going right into the research, which is awesome.
Yeah,
that is cool.
Completely free to join. teamboatwilly.com for information on how you can join. And if you're worried about not being able to make it that morning, you can still join the team and you can still help us raise money, but you're not obligated to show up that day to walk. The walk is just an extra step. It's really cool to see some of the people that have survived. They have this survivors pavilion that's it's one of the most life-changing things that I've ever experienced. To walk into a tent with so many women with a sash around them that says survivor, and just to see the joy in their faces, these, like, if ever you've appreciated something in your life, these women are there appreciating life itself. It's a pretty powerful morning, and I've been a part of a couple, and in case you guys don't know, I'm pretty passionate about this now because I actually work at City of Hope, and it wasn't until I started interacting with some of these people and some of the patients and some of the doctors that I began to see what's behind the scenes and how things happen and how it affects families and how it affects the people going through these procedures. It's a heavy toll, man. It is not just a heavy toll on the person going through it, but on the family and friends as well, and anybody connected to that person. So the mission of ridding the world of cancer is a noble one, and I want to be a part of that. I hope you guys do too, and whether you guys help us raise money or walk with us that day, we say for every Teamboat Willie event, that we're out there trying to make the world a better place, and that's exactly what we're trying to do again. So let's do this. Let's go out and raise some money to try to rid the world of cancer. Just a quick, pivot to another topic that we talked about last episode. I want to send a quick shout out to listener Johnny, who sent me a message over on Instagram with a correction, because we talked about Tangaroa Terrace Whitewater Snacks closing and all that stuff. I think in the episode I mentioned that Trader Sam's was also closing as part of the renovation to the bar-restaurant, which is what we called it in that episode.
Yeah.
It looks like Trader Sam's is not closing. So
Nice.
Tangaroa Terrace is, but Trader Sam's is still open. So Gavin, if you were looking forward to having a drink, it looks like you'll still be able to do it now.
Man, I was there this morning and I could have gone in and had a tropical tiki drink.
True that, yo.
You took one for the team this morning.
I did. I'll be back soon, so maybe I will wander on down there and see if I can get something.
Well, you are going very soon for the Halloween party, so...
Right.
There you go.
There you go.
That's true. So I think the game plan or the best plan of attack there is to get there right when it opens, right? To try and get in. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I will maybe try and do then.
Yeah, it's pretty magical. It's a very small venue, but I like it. It's very cozy.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fun.
Very cool.
And familiar too.
Very familiar. It might remind you of Walt Disney's Freaky Room.
Wait, okay, so I wanted to bring something up that, I thought of after we had our discussion about Trader Sam's Enchanted Tiki Bar. And was it the last episode that we talked about that? It was, right?
I believe so, yeah.
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 And part of that, you were saying that opened, like not that long ago. Like it's not that old.
Like
of
2010.
See, okay. And this to me speaks to how well Disney creates these experiences and builds in history and story, because
I'm sorry, 2011.
that helps my point even more, because I feel like based on what people talk about with Trader Sam's, what people post, all the stories, all the Easter eggs, everything, I assumed it had been there for 20, 30 years. Like it has this rich history. And that speaks so highly of the Imagineers and, what they created in this place. And it instantly becomes a classic that when people talk about it, it sounds like it legitimately is a classic and it's been around for a while, right?
Yeah.
So I find that hugely impressive when they do things like that. I kind of feel like we might be seeing that play out again with the Lamplight Lounge over in Pixar Pier, with all of that cool stuff that's in there, and everybody's clamoring to go, and everybody's got their Lamplight Lounge story now. So I just wanted to get that out there. I just think that's cool that they can build things that have a ready to go, ready-made history that just feels like it's always been there.
One thing I will say is do not leave the door open. Do not stand in the doorway.
Oh, because it ruins the magic?
They'll yell at you in a nice way.
I'm not a lingerer in doorways anyway.
You know, I think Lamplight Lounge is a little bit different though, because Lamplight Lounge calls on your references of Pixar films, right?
True.
So there's a lot of nostalgia that's attached to the Lamplight Lounge, but when you think of Trader Sam's, you think of the Tiki Room, and there's this instant connection, you know, to the early 60s because of the cohesiveness of the name Trader Sam, and then you think of this attraction that has the physical Trader Sam in it. I think it's easy for you to trick your brain into thinking, oh, this is a really old, you know, building. Plus, when they renovated everything, they purposely made it look like it was old school Disney, you know, for that purpose. And at the time when they built it, you know, I briefly talked a little bit about the whole like tiki culture and how it's been around for years and stuff like that. At that time, the tiki culture in Southern California was kind of in this third wave of tiki, right? And so because of that resurgence, I think it was easy to make that old school connection.
Yeah, it is different. It has a totally different angle to it, but I feel like to me, it feels like when I walked into Lamplight Lounge, it felt like, oh, yeah, of course this is here. Like, it makes sense. Like, everything about it fits.
Okay.
It seems like it's always been there. I didn't feel like it was an overlay in any way. I felt like it had completely been designed to be what it now is. You know what I mean? And
I misunderstood slightly what you said.
Yeah, and I just feel like it just... Like, I never walked in there and thought, oh, yeah, this is that little piece where Ariel's Grotto, you know, was this, you know. No, like that never even existed, and Lamplight Lounge has always been there. And I just think it's cool that they can go in and do that so successfully and so, you know, seamlessly. And, you know, the rest of it is all just, you know, frosting on the cake, basically, with all the cool Pixar props and knickknacks and references and all that stuff that just makes the Pixar fans in us just go crazy. And yeah, so I love little touches like that they do.
So I'm really excited to hear your first experience at Trader Sam's, because what you're describing is exactly what you're going to feel.
Nice.
And even a little bit more.
Cool.
But tiki-fied.
Yeah.
Instead of Pixar-fied.
Nice.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, dude, good point, man. I never thought about that, but I like the connection that you made. So, right on, dude.
No problem.
So, anyway, thanks again, Johnny. I appreciate you calling me out and making the correction, because, you know, I can't get everything right 100% of the time. Like I've said in the past, I don't consider myself a historian. I just consider myself a Disney fan that loves to read a bunch of stuff, and I hope stuff sticks in my brain hole. It doesn't always work, and sometimes it does.
You have a brain hole? You shouldn't have a brain hole.
Oh, no.
What?
No.
Brain hole doesn't sound
Is
like
that
it's a
the
good
problem?
thing.
Is that why I can't remember stuff?
Yeah. I think stuff
now
might be
I understand why
leaking
my
out
mom used to
instead of
tell
sticking
me
in.
it goes in one ear and comes out the other. I get
There
it
it is.
now. That's a parent thing.
So you hope that your brain sponge is soaking it up. How about that?
That's right. I'm hoping Bob soaks it up.
Wait, having a square brain is not good either.
What?
I'm starting to be concerned about your brain, Hazen.
This is your brain. This is your brain on too much coffee.
Oh, man. So, yeah, let's move on from all that brain talk.
But spongy brain.
Let's talk about something
I'm with Melissa.
different.
Let's steer away.
Fine.
Definitely. So this is going to be a little bit different than what the usual talk on the podcast, and I am excited to talk about this. It's about makeup, but not just any kind of makeup. We're talking a Disney designer collection collaboration with my favorite makeup brand, ColourPop.
Whoa.
Now,
Sounds really familiar.
Hazen, that makeover I gave you last week, we were using ColourPop. That's why it sounds
Gotcha.
familiar.
there
Yeah.
you go.
That's where that was from.
That highlight, that was it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That contouring I did for you was, All
dude.
yeah.
I mean, when you use that contouring to give me abs, I was like, dude, you know what you're doing with that brush.
That's right, everybody. We
For
did
reals.
body makeup.
So earlier, they've talked about they're going to release 6 dolls, 6 designer dolls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they have a makeup collection that's going to represent those dolls. And it
Nice.
looks really beautiful. But this is the best part. If anyone's listening, I don't know if you remember when Minnie Mouse had her collection at Sephora.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the makeup was, I couldn't really purchase it because it was a little out of budget. This makeup kit, or collection, I should say, starts at $5
Whoa.
to $20.
That's
In
super
comparison to what were
In
the
com-
other ones?
In comparison to 15 to 85. No, excuse me, 58. Whoa.
Oh, still,
Braveheart.
58 is still a lot.
cheap. Yeah.
It is, and I
Yeah.
couldn't afford all that. So to hear that this makeup brand is going to happen and I could afford everything is amazing. I know, different talk. I know, it's not the typical stuff, but I'm
Well,
like,
It's cool,
Yeah.
though.
It's cool though because one, it's Disney related, and
is.
I'm sure that a lot of our listeners use makeup. Pretty cool that you can tie it in. But quick question about the whole pricing structure thing. You
Right.
said this was like 5 to 20 versus like 15 to almost $60 in comparison to how much you were getting for the more expensive one. Were you getting more of it?
No.
Why was it so expensive?
brand. That's all it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole world is so brand and status driven that
That's pretty much
the stuff that's, the popular in vogue things are just, they can command a much, much higher price, regardless if the ingredients are exactly the same as the bargain
Bingo.
brand.
That's
Exactly.
why you buy the Costco brand, man, because it's exactly the same
No.
things.
No, all
Kirkland
these,
is the exact same thing.
everyone's yelling at, at us right now.
I'm not going to go that far.
No? Okay.
But what's awesome is that when this episode launches, the whole collection launches that Friday, the
Cool.
28th.
And what is it based on again? You said it's based on
The
dolls.
Disney princesses.
Oh, the Disney
Yes.
princesses.
Yes.
The fashion doll versions, right?
The designer dolls
designer
that they're
designer
releasing.
dolls, that's what it is.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. Which princesses are they highlighting? Do you know?
Let me see if I could get all of them right. Tiana, Belle, Ariel, Snow White. Gosh darn it, I have it on the top of my tongue. Jasmine.
Yep.
Cool.
Jasmine,
and does
yeah.
each one, because they're so distinct in like the colors that they wear, is each collection going to coincide with the princess color scheme?
Yes. They have individual colors, and then they have a palette, and then they have the lip. Everything is like, basically, yes, the color scheme or the color combo that you would Disney bound in, it would match that.
Oh, got it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So how, I'm looking at images of the whole collection, but I assume that you can buy pieces individually, right? Like you can buy
Yep.
the blushes individually, the lipsticks, the lip liners,
Everything individually.
and then it's just the main palette of what are those eyeshadows that are
Yep.
as one big set? That's really
Pretty
cool.
much.
I mean, look, as an artist, I totally appreciate the idea of makeup, and I even took a stage makeup course in college and loved it. I loved every minute of it.
Well, that's
and
cool.
I mean, it's just painting on a different canvas, a sculptured
Yeah.
canvas basically. So I totally. Yeah, I get it. And, if I were a wearer of a makeup or an applier of makeup, I would be, totally into this. Because
Right.
I see so many possibilities, especially if you're combining it with a Disney bound and you can color key your makeup to it. That's fantastic.
I'm
Can-
just happy I
absolutely
could
awesome.
afford this.
Can I just tell you something that I just noticed? So I went to that link that you posted in our notes, Melissa. I'm not sure if it's the same one that Gavin's looking at right now, but they have the 6 princesses that you mentioned, and they have the years of when their films
Yeah.
were released, and
Oh,
the
cool.
outfits that they're drawn in
They're
coincide
in the
to
eras.
the year, like the
Yeah.
era. It looks really cool.
Oh, you're right.
They're beautiful, but I
It is
cannot
so
afford them. But they're
cool.
beautiful.
Do we know who the artists of these are? Because these are phenomenal.
So the artist is actually S. Thompson Art.
Oh, Scott Thompson.
No,
I follow
Steven.
him. Sorry, Steve Thompson. Yeah, I follow him on Instagram.
Ah, man, this is so cool.
That is a good call on the outfits. Like, that is nailed.
Right?
Yeah.
If I could choose
that's
one,
why Ariel looks so freaking cool in that 80s
Right?
dress.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
That's
going to see if I can
amazing.
pull these images, and I'm going to put them in the blog post for the episode, podketeers.com/225. Look, even if you're not into makeup, the art that goes into creating these collections, as an artist, you got to appreciate it as well. They're just really well made. I love the fact that they're in the eras, and if you do wear makeup, then that's a cool call, Melissa, because, I mean, everybody wants something affordable and good. As far as the
Yeah.
quality of this brand, how would you compare it to some of these other ones that you've used that are more expensive?
I have about 85% of all my collection at home is all ColourPop.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, no, I swear by these people. It's awesome.
Well, ColourPop, hashtag not sponsored, but we're open for sponsorships.
Heck yeah. Very
Cool.
cool.
Well, again, I'll post a link to this collection, especially if it's going to be releasing just a couple of days after this episode launches. But for certain, at least head over and take a look at these outfits because they look super cool. Like the art behind
Oh, yeah.
them,
Ooh.
I love it. And we'll put a link to Steve Thompson's Instagram also.
Yeah.
That way we can all follow him.
Yeah,
Super cool.
definitely.
Can we talk a little bit about the Mary Poppins trailer before we move on?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No? All right,
no,
cool.
no.
Well, Gavin says no.
Just kidding. Let's do it. It looks amazing.
So, I mean, first thoughts. We had the teaser. You know, we've been living with the teaser for so long. First thoughts on watching this first full trailer for Mary Poppins Returns.
Mary's back, y'all.
I just had to pick up my jaw from the floor multiple times.
It really, yeah, I agree. It really feels like, okay, it's believable now that Mary Poppins has returned. Like,
Yeah.
for a while I was thinking, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull this off. I don't know if Emily Blunt is, you know, as perfect as a choice as I always thought she was. I still think it was going to be a huge stretch for me personally in my mind to accept her as Mary Poppins. That is out the window.
Yeah.
That is gone. And I am fully accepting of what they've shown us so far. And this film looks like it's going to be magical in a way that I feel classic live action Disney films were, and which in many ways today aren't. And I know
Right.
I will come under some criticism for that statement, but you know, when I think of things like Mary Poppins and Swiss Family Robinson and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, they hold a completely different level of Disney magic for me than some more contemporary things, you know, from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So this trailer has renewed hope for me in the Disney live action studio. I am so excited.
All I know is we're going to need some tissues. That's
Sure.
it.
Sure.
That's it.
Absolutely. And multiple tickets, because this is not a see
Yeah.
it once in the theater kind of movie, I don't think.
Right. I agree with pretty much everything that you said right now. Because when I saw, and again, might be a little criticized for what I'm about to say, but Cinderella, for instance, the live action Cinderella didn't feel like Cinderella. I mean, there was the props, there was the dress, there was the names, there was a lot of similarities that made you feel like you were watching Cinderella, but there was something about it that just wasn't there. You know, it didn't it didn't feel like a Disney film most of the film. It felt like one of those Rodgers and Hammerstein presents Cinderella. You know what I mean?
I agree with you.
And
I really do.
I think they did a little bit better with Beauty and the Beast, you know, because they brought back some of the music. You know, there was a lot more similarities in it. but it was still slightly disconnected from the animated version, that we grew up with. Mary Poppins was a whole other beast because it incorporated live action and 2D animation when it was first created. And when I first saw the trailer for Mary Poppins Returns, there was something about it that bugged me. I didn't know what it was. It felt a little darker. And after talking to the group about it, Gavin made a good point that there's a lot of parts in the original Mary Poppins that are fairly dark. It's not, all puppies and rainbows all of the time.
Yeah.
And when I finally saw this extended trailer, it just opened my eyes, and I was, like Melissa said, I had to pick my jaw from the ground because seeing the 2D animation and listening to Emily Blunt sing, it felt like Mary Poppins. It doesn't feel like it was a film remade from a classic. It feels like it was a continuation of a classic.
Yeah, I agree. I think that everything that we've seen so far evokes the right feeling of Mary Poppins.
Right.
It doesn't feel like, we'll take another, popular contemporary franchise. Let's talk about Star Wars. With some of the films that came out after the original trilogy, they don't necessarily feel like they come from the same world because they look so different. Things got, a little more slick or a little more high tech or a little more clean, in various films as compared to those originals. This one feels like it was shot in 1965, the year after Mary Poppins.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I feel like they're keying in on all of the right elements: the lighting, the color, the set design, the costuming, all of it. And the fact that they're using 2D animation for some of the magical scenes is so thrilling for somebody like me who just adores animation. And, I miss the fact that there are really no feature animation studios in America still doing 2D, really. Yeah. And so that just got me really excited. This is unusual for me because I don't usually, watch all the trailers and analyze them and, get into it. But I can't say enough about what we've seen already. And I could go on and on and on.
So I think what we'll do is we'll just make the announcement that we talked about having a movie meetup for Ralph Breaks the Internet. And it's going to be shortly after Thanksgiving. So I know it's going to be a little difficult for people to show up to that one because, some people may be out of town for the holiday season and stuff. But we're going to go watch it. And if you guys want to go watch it with us, you guys are more than welcome to. We'll put out the information of where we're going to go and what time really soon so you guys can buy your tickets and join us that day. But I think we got to have one for Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah. We need to cry together.
Melissa's really geared up to cry at this movie.
I have cried at every meetup. I swear I have, starting with Inside Out.
Yeah,
oh, that's hilarious.
True. She even cried at Pirates.
I did. I did because Barbossa and his daughter. I was like, dang it.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah. They would have seen it already.
That's hilarious.
I think the time frame is beyond, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So as excited as we are about Mary Poppins, I started to have some thoughts because there is another Disney studio release on the near horizon that I'm really excited for, but I started to feel really bad for the filmmakers of...
I don't feel bad for Captain Marvel at all.
No, not Marvel. For the Nutcracker in the Four Realms. I am really excited for that movie, and I know that I'm in a minority. A lot of people will probably see it because it is a Disney film, but a lot of people aren't necessarily excited for the property in and of itself. I'm a big fan of Tchaikovsky and the Nutcracker Ballet. And, I've read the fairy tale by Hoffman, and, I'm really intrigued by this movie. But with Ralph and Mary coming right on its heels, that movie doesn't stand a snowball's chance. And I feel really bad for those people. And it stinks that they land in the calendar where they do with those other two films, you know? I think they benefit from the fact that there's a bit of a gap, like right now until that movie comes out, where there's not much to compete with it up until then. But as soon as those other movies come out, like, it's dead in the water. And that makes me kind of sad because you never know. It could be a hidden gem. You know, it doesn't necessarily come into it with huge expectations, but it could be amazing. I'm going to give it a chance, and I can't wait to watch it. But yeah, I just got really sad for those filmmakers thinking, oh, sorry, guys, nobody's going to watch your movie.
It looks like a beautiful film. I just wish, I am so creeped out by Keira Knightley.
You're creeped out by her? Just in that movie or in general? Like when you watch Love Actually, you're creeped out?
She doesn't sound like herself. So every time she's talking, it's so high pitched that it throws me off. So, but I mean, like I said, it looks beautiful.
So do you think that the Nutcracker is going to suffer the same type of fate that A Wrinkle in Time did earlier this year, considering Black Panther was released right before it? And then Avengers Infinity War, like right after. So it got sandwiched between these two blockbusters.
That and the fact that it is just a lesser known, less popular property. It's not something that is, you know, hugely well known amongst the average Disney fan, I don't think. You know, I think a lot of people are aware of, in general, what the Nutcracker Ballet is, and they would probably recognize some of the tunes from that. But as far as the story, the fairy tale of the Nutcracker and, you know, everything that surrounds it, I don't know that it's, you know, in the common knowledge. And so, and they're not doing a lot of marketing. So I just feel like, yeah, it's different than Wrinkle in Time because they did a lot of marketing for that, I feel like. And it had Oprah at its forefront, which, you know, is just a big name. But I don't know. I just had a thought, and I just felt sorry for those guys. I hope their film is successful. I really do. And I hope it's a good film because I'm definitely going to watch it in the theater.
Yeah. Am I thinking that Disney has already made a Nutcracker movie because I'm thinking about the Nutcracker Suite in Fantasia? Or have they already done this in the past and this is just like an updated version?
World of Color?
They have never done the Nutcracker.
So the Nutcracker Suite that appears in Fantasia is really the only connection to the Nutcracker that Disney films have right now, other than this upcoming
that I can
film.
think of. Yeah.
Interesting. For some reason, I kept thinking of that Tom and Jerry one.
But they have other Tchaikovsky connections, obviously Sleeping Beauty,
right?
Yeah,
and Peter and the Wolf. So, you know, they've touched on Tchaikovsky several times, and he is easily my second favorite classical composer. Like, I love Tchaikovsky. So anything related, I'm down for.
Interesting. Yeah, the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy is probably my favorite. Only because I really like Christmas.
Oh yeah, then that's what is fun about the Nutcracker too. It's probably my very favorite Christmas thing, is the Nutcracker Ballet.
Right on. Cool, man.
So, yeah, dude.
Well, like you said, we do wish them well. We don't want it to flop, obviously. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it is being released right in between those two, right? Mary Poppins and Ralph?
I want to say, yeah. I think it's right in between. It's like the Wrinkle in Time sandwich.
That's not a good sandwich to be a part of.
But I will give a full review and let you guys know whether it's a watch in theater, a rent, or a skip.
We might have to have you do that on a regular basis now.
Oh, I'm down for that. Absolutely.
Cool. I wanted to move on to talk about something that has been a little controversial in kind of the U.S. because There's a lot of companies that in the last couple of months have really jumped on this bandwagon of eliminating single-use plastic straws. And in some cases, they've even moved on from using plastic lids and reducing the amount of plastic that they use, including plastic bags. And the Walt Disney Company was one of those that just recently announced that they're going to be eliminating the use of single-use plastic straws. And they've already also eliminated plastic lids on their cups. This was announced, I believe, the week of August 21st or 22nd. And it's stirred up, people in a way that there's a lot of people that are for it and a lot of people that are against it. And so we want to talk a little bit about some of the facts that we've read about it and give our opinion on what's happening. And hopefully after hearing this, we can hear a little bit about you. We'd love for you to join the conversation over in the blog post, Facebook, Instagram, or on Twitter. So Gavin, get us started on this conversation and tell us a little bit about what you found out.
Sure. So Disney has had a history of trying to be environmentally conscious and friendly. Now, they're not always the innovative leaders in that idea, but they are fairly responsive, to these trends and ideas. And this is no exception to that. They are going to, the full implementation of straw elimination at all Disney-owned properties is going to be complete by mid-2019. So it's going to take some time, to eliminate everything at all the properties they own around the world. But that is their goal. And if and when they do that, they have said that it is going to eliminate an estimated 175 million straws and 13 million plastic stirrers that are thrown away annually. So every single year, 175 million straws just at Disney parks.
So globally.
That's an astounding amount.
Right.
And if you don't know why straws are being singled out, there's a simple reason that straws are particularly bad for the environment. And it's because they're small and lightweight. They go through the skimmers when they're at recycling plants and they get skimmed out so they don't get recycled. And when they're being transported to landfills, they simply blow out of the trucks. And so straws make their way into the environment more than other pieces of plastic, large bags or bottles that have a lot more weight to them. And so many of these end up in oceans. And, this huge push and public cry for banning of straws was really kicked off a few years ago by this video that went viral of a sea turtle with a plastic straw lodged in one of its nostrils. Right. And, people kind of, went, it tugged at their hearts and, they saw crush or whatever they saw and they felt bad for the turtle and thought, well, this is our fault. We're doing this. How can we eliminate this? And so, major companies like Starbucks have been at the forefront of this, and even cities. The entire city of Seattle is planning to completely ban plastic straws. So, it is a thing. It's a reality. It's coming everybody's way. So prepare for it. And, I think it is interesting to see people's initial reactions. The thing that I find most interesting is, people's initial reaction always addresses the fact that they've been made to feel uncomfortable now. Mm-hmm. They were comfortable with their straws, and the initial reaction is, don't take away my straw. I want my straw. But usually after a while, people see the evidence and they see, the reasoning behind it, and they adapt. And I think this one will be such a case, but I have heard some grumblings in the parks and some grumblings on the internet, and some people just think it's ridiculous that they're making this move. But I see it as a positive, proactive step that may take some adapting to. But I give the Disney company huge credit for doing this, because that's not an easy choice to make.
Right.
To take away what is considered a convenience And in most cases, it's considered a basic standard convenience where if you don't have straws available, you're doing something wrong. You are not run correctly, and, until that perception changes, that's a tough choice for them to make. So I'm proud that they did that.
Yeah.
I did hear about this, and I've heard both sides of the argument, and I hate to say that, yes, I understand both sides, I really do, but Disney always finds a way to help accommodate those who need something similar,
Right.
if it's not available. That's what I know, and I've seen Disney do this, so I'm gonna be for it. I am. I see what it's done. I see what they're doing. And I kind of thought about this too. I'm like, wait a minute. Is this why they're selling the reusable straws? And I didn't think about that. I'm like, oh. But I mean, granted, you don't have to do that. But again, Disney will accommodate no matter what. Even from, you name it, the littlest mistakes to the biggest things, they've always stepped it up. Change is going to happen. You just got to adapt to it.
What you were talking about earlier, Gavin, many companies, especially large corporations like Disney, have a department called the Corporate Social Responsibility Department, the CSR. And the CSR is really the spearhead to these initiatives to make sure that things within the company are running ethically for both humans and animals and the general environment, really. So they help pass measures company-wide and initiatives that will help the environment, as a whole. And I think the biggest argument is the accommodation thing, right? Because there are people with disabilities that can't really drink out of cups that will require a plastic straw. And carrying something around like a reusable straw isn't always the best option for them, because even if you got a metal straw, you still have to go through the process of disinfecting it. And if you're at a Disney park, having a reusable straw isn't the easiest thing to clean while you're in the park. So unless you take several with you that you can disinfect or clean when you get home, it's not really the most feasible thing, right? So the good thing is that because of that type of complaint, the Disney company has, and not just the Disney company, but companies like Starbucks have put out statements that say that they're not going to completely eliminate the plastic straws. They are going to make them available for people with that type of necessity. So in general, they are getting rid of the straws. They're getting rid of the lids, which I'll tell you a quick story in a moment, but they will be available upon request for most cases. Our first interaction with this was the weekend that Pixar Fest was ending. I remember Lynette had purchased some food and some drinks for us, and she had such a problem getting all the way from Harbor Galley over to in front of Sleeping Beauty Castle because the cups had no lids. So she had to play this balancing act with a bunch of people around her, and it made it super difficult. And even though she asked, hey, I'm walking all the way to the castle, can I get these lids? They said that they just weren't available. So I don't know if it was them really trying to push the idea of we just don't have them, but I still feel like in those situations they should have just made it available, even though it wasn't a necessity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of the arguments that I've made, I brought up a little tongue-in-cheek when I talked about going to Knott's Berry Farm not too long ago, and that was the ability to use a reusable cup, right? For a lot of, if they're really trying to eliminate the use of these paper cups, plastic cups, polystyrene cups, whatever the case is, do what Knott's Berry Farm and other companies like Six Flags are doing, where you buy a $15 cup, for the day, and then for $1 you get to refill it, or you get unlimited refills for the day for that $15, or you pay for a season, and for $40 you get free drinks for as long as you have it within a 3 or 4 month span. I think that's a wonderful way for them to reduce their environmental footprint, and at the same time give Disney fans like a good discount or something to really want to purchase that's also going to help them as well. Because I think there's a lot of Disney fans that feel like they're getting, they're being taken advantage of in certain price points. So if you're really going to just take away straws and you're really going to take away lids, give us something that's going to incentivize us to really move on to something different that's going to help. And I think that type of cup system is a really good way to go. So Gavin, you talked a little bit about how Seattle was the first city that has implemented this citywide ban. As we're recording this, just a day or two ago, California actually became the first state to officially ban plastic straws from restaurant tables. And it's not like fast food establishments, so you'll still be able to go like to a McDonald's or burger place or whatever the case is, and you'll still get straws because you're going through a drive-through. But if you ever go to a sit-down restaurant, you know how some of them have the little like cups or machines with the straws right on the table, and you just kind of push a little lever down and it pops out a straw. All of those establishments starting in 2019 will be required to remove all straws and lids from their establishments. But again, they will have the option of receiving a straw in the event that you need it. So if you have a disability that requires you to have one, or you can't carry a straw around, they will still be available. So that's actually really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool because California being one of the most highly populated places on the planet, and the fact that it's on the coast, that will actually probably make a huge dent in this problem. Right. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So I was reading a bunch of articles and watching some videos on why this initiative started, and that video that you talked about, Gavin, was one of the ones that came up. And it looks like there's a lot of misinformation that's out there. One of the numbers that's floating around a lot is it looks like there's 500 million straws that are used per day. But it looks like that number dates back to an initiative that a 9-year-old put together like years ago as part of some, project or something that he was doing. And that there was a firm, I believe the name was Technomic, that came out and did some more analysis, and they said that it was more like 172 million straws that were used per day. It's still a lot of straws, though, even though, it's roughly a third of that other number, or, almost reaching half, really. But it's still a lot of straws, and I do commend these companies for switching over to alternatives. One thing I wanted to ask both of you about how you felt about this was Starbucks is possibly going to be moving to something that looks more like a sippy cup versus a straw. And I don't know if Disney's going to follow suit, but one of the biggest alternatives, which technically has already been around at Disney's Animal Kingdom since 1998, is this biodegradable paper straw. And we talked a little bit about this when we were at the picnic area celebrating Mickey's birthday, because in the D23 box, we did get some paper straws as part of the package. Have you guys ever used a paper straw or known anybody that's used one? And how do you guys feel about that?
I've used them. It's not that dissimilar to using a paper cup. There are different qualities, quality levels, but I mean, it won't last you all day, but certainly for one drink, it's fine. I don't know how well they hold up in like a hot beverage situation, but for a cold beverage, I mean, they're fine. You don't want to chew on it because you will tear it apart. Like, a lot of people like to chew on their plastic straws. Yeah. So you can't chew on a paper straw, but I mean, they serve the purpose, right? I mean, it's just a tube to slurp your liquid, just like plastic or metal or whatever you're using. The same concept applies. They're coated with wax, so they're waterproof. And yeah, I mean, it's not that different. It really isn't.
I haven't tried the paper straws. I mean, not that I could think of, but Starbucks sippy cups. I love them.
Yeah.
Next time we're all at the park, I'll bring those paper straws with me, and we'll all get a drink, and we'll sip and review the paper straw experience.
That's actually a really good thought. And I think we should try to do it with several different types of drinks because, I mean, paper has a very distinct taste. And if you've ever had to filter water or anything through it, you're kind of going to get that papery taste in your water, right? And the straws that we got in the D23 box don't seem like they're coated in any type of wax or anything. I feel like that is a good solution because certain types of wax like beeswax and paraffin and vegetable-based waxes are biodegradable. So if you were to coat the straws in that, you bypass the whole biodegradable argument, and you still have a straw that in its essence is completely biodegradable. But the ones that they have at Animal Kingdom seem to just be standard cardboard boxes, cardboard type straws that if you're drinking a Starbucks drink, halfway through that drink, your straw is falling apart from what I've heard. And in some cases, it might even become a choking hazard because those pieces could be inhaled through the straw. You know, so
see, this to me brings up the most interesting non-problem that exists in this whole thing, and that's when we're at home, we all just drink out of cups,
right,
without lids, without straws. But we suddenly go out into the world and we can't drink anything without a straw. Now, look, I'm not trying to, sidestep the fact that there are people, like you mentioned before, that can't due to a physical disability or many reasons, and that's totally fine, and there should be accommodations for that. But for 99% of the world, you can just drink out of the cup. If the paper straw doesn't work for you, just drink out of the cup.
Yeah,
that's the in a lot of ways that's why this problem initially just kind of mystified me, why it was even an issue. But in the case of a paper straw, it's not going to last you forever, and it's really only going to last you one drink. And if it's a hot drink, maybe half of that drink. So skip the straw altogether. Anytime we can skip another thing that we're going to just be throwing away, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever get to a point where, you can walk into a sit-down restaurant with your own cup and then they'll quickly rinse it out, and then you have the option of just washing it again at home?
100%. I mean, I was thinking about ideas for this very thing. It would be amazing if Disney ran a bring your own straw campaign, and they would give you a discount if you brought your own straw, something like if you have to have a straw, bring a straw. We'll reward you for it, for bringing a reusable straw. And I can see other companies and restaurants totally getting on board with that. Saves them the time and effort of, washing as many dishes or, expending as many resources if they can just fill your cup up with their iced tea or whatever they're pouring out of the pitcher. So yeah, I absolutely can. If they're environmentally conscious, then why not? If they're not worried about the aesthetic of everybody's cup at every table in the restaurant matching, sure, why not? I think it's a fantastic idea.
Sorry. Doesn't Starbucks already do that with their cups?
Yeah.
Where they give you a discount?
Yeah. I mean, most places do.
Because they don't charge you for the paper cup that they would be giving you. Absolutely. Yeah.
And, the sippy cups that we were talking about that Starbucks is thinking about switching to, they technically already started to implement that, because if you've ever purchased one of their cold brews that are on nitro, they serve it in the quote-unquote adult sippy cup. So, and if the argument is, well, you took the amount of plastic that would have been in a straw and now you made this huge sippy cup lid with it. Well, the difference between the two is that straws are made of plastic that's less biodegradable, and the lids that are used for that are made of polypropylene. It can be recycled a lot easier in different facilities. And like Gavin mentioned earlier, as it's being put through the machines, it doesn't slip through, it doesn't fly out of trucks, and so it's easier to capture if that happens.
What is that?
Charlie just threw a plastic bendy straw at me to throw her 2 cents in, I guess.
So she's for bendy straws.
Yeah, apparently. No, I agree with what you're saying. Also, those lids are heavier. And again, a large part of the problem is that the plastic disposable straws are so lightweight that they blow away, and that's how they end up in ecosystems. You know, it's not so much the material that they're made out of as their size and structure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have, the sippy cup idea that Starbucks is doing is very forward thinking. And, I can definitely appreciate that. The plastic straw hasn't changed much in the last 50, 75 years. And, it's time we reconsider some of these things. So, again, kudos to companies like Disney for helping the problem.
Isn't it crazy that straws have only been around since like the 1960s? And we're talking about it like it's a problem that's been around like for 300 years.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, we want to hear from you guys. This is certainly a topic that sparked a lot of controversy, especially in the Disney community, because like Gavin said, it's a comfort thing. In Walt Disney World at Animal Kingdom, this has been something that's been around for a couple of decades now. So, first of all, if you've already had the opportunity to use a biodegradable straw, the paper straws, let us know what your experience was, because I'm certain that with different types of drinks, you're going to have a slightly different experience. And if you happen to have an idea of what a possible solution would be, then, leave it in the comment. Join the conversation over on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or even in the blog post for the episode, which will be at podketeers.com/223. We'd love to hear from you guys and read off some of your comments in an upcoming episode. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap this episode. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is it taco time?
It's more coffee time for me.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm only thinking about cake.
After all the cake we had
So
today, you want
bad.
more cake?
We got her hooked.
Yes.
We got her hooked on the cake.
So much sugar.
I was mentioning to Melissa while we were out there snarfing on that cake that it has been so long since I just had a regular piece of cake with frosting on it. I mean, it tasted so delicious. I don't even know if that was like a high quality cake or not. It's just been so long that I just gulped it down, man. It was so good. And I had 2 pieces too. It was delicious.
I mean,
so thanks, Hazen, for getting that amazing
Yeah.
cake.
I just went to a local supermarket and I just said, give me one of those. And then they said, what colors do you want? I said, yellow, red, and black. And then they made the cake, and I picked it up the next morning, which was today, and life was good. Because then they asked me,
Life
well, what
was
kind of
good.
cake do you want inside? I was like, red velvet. Yeah, I did
that
miss
was
the
good.
milk.
I wasn't expecting red velvet, but it makes sense
Well,
for Mickey.
yeah, it was the only one that did. The other one was like a vanilla cake, a chocolate cake, and one of those like rainbow swirly ones. And I thought, nope, get red velvet. That's how I asked for it too.
I totally believe that.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this episode. And so before we close up, I do want to remind you that this episode of Podketeers and others are brought to you by the generosity of the FGP Squad. Who is the FGP Squad? Well, we like to call them our podcast Fairy Godparents, but they gave themselves the name the FGP Squad. And in case you're wondering what they are or what they do, well, they contribute to our podcast on a monthly basis via Patreon. And for as little as $1 a month, you can become a part of the FGP Squad as well. But if you make at least a $5 monthly contribution, you will also get the exclusive Fairy Godparent button as a thank you for your support. To all of our current Fairy Godparents, we just want to send out a huge thank you to all of you. And more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad can be located over at podketeers.com/FGP. If you want to help us out in a slightly different way, you can always go to podketeers.com/Amazon if you like to purchase lots of stuff on Amazon. Because if you're like me, you have Amazon Prime and you're like, it's 2 days. I just get it in 2 days. What? They'll deliver today if I order in the next hour. Sold. And then you'll just order it, and then you'll just get it the same day, which is pretty awesome. So the next time you place an order on Amazon, start that trip over at podketeers.com/Amazon. Click on the huge Amazon button that you see on that page. Why is it so huge?
So you don't miss
That's
it.
right, and because it was funny.
Also, it'll make you giggle. It's so
A little
big.
bit. It will make you
And
giggle.
we like big buttons.
We do like big
We
buttons.
cannot lie.
Thank you.
So click on the big Amazon button. It'll take you over to Amazon using our special link, and anything that you purchase may earn us a small commission as a thank you from Amazon, because we mentioned them on the podcast and you went through a couple of clickety clicks to get there using that big button that apparently won't make you lie or something ish. So,
I like that we both started and ended this episode with 90s lyrics.
that's right.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
So to everyone that's already doing that, thank you guys very much for that additional support. More information on us and all of our personal links can be found over at podketeers.com/team. You'll find our links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, our personal websites and Etsy pages and all that good stuff. If you guys love to watch the YouTube videos, make sure you go to youtube.com/podketeers and youtube.com/Disney for2. Hit that subscribe button, ring that little bell icon, and select all notifications so that whenever we post a new video, you're alerted by the YouTube app like, hey, that's a new video. You should go watch it. I'm not sure if that's what YouTube sounds like, but apparently I've still had too much caffeine. So we're just going to leave it at that.
And red velvet.
And red velvet. So yeah,
Oh,
I need
man.
tacos. That's what it is.
Balance it out.
Yeah, I need to balance it out. That and the sugar that I had today just need to be regulated. All right, guys. So that is going to be it for this episode. Here is to beers, cheers, and Mickey ears. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Bye.
Made you look.
You should have said bye.
Bye.